In an era where the golden years often feel more brass than gold, Canadian seniors have been grappling with a harsh reality. The dream of a secure, dignified retirement is slipping through their fingers. The narrative of the twilight years being a time of relaxation, reflection, and reward has for many been replaced by a sobering tale of financial survival. It's a story etched in the lines of worry on their faces, echoed in the quiet decisions to skip meals or forgo necessary medications, and whispered in the late-night calculations trying to stretch a fixed income over ever-expanding costs. This isn't just an individual struggle. It's a national crisis, a ticking time bomb in Canada's social fabric. But today, on this pivotal Tuesday, June 4, 2024, that narrative is being rewritten. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just made an announcement that resounds like a clarion call across the nation. A substantial increase to the Old Age Security OAS program that will inject about $3,500 more annually into the pockets of eligible seniors. This isn't just another policy tweak or a fleeting election promise. No, this is a seismic shift, a recalibration of how our nation values its elders. It's a $3,500 lifeline thrown to those who've given Canada a lifetime of work, wisdom, and sacrifice. Welcome to Seniors Money, your beacon in the often murky waters of retirement finance. I'm Michael, your host and guide, and for years I've made it my mission to empower Canadian seniors with the knowledge and tools they need to navigate these challenging financial times. Today's episode is perhaps the most critical we've ever produced. Why? Because the news we're about to unpack has the potential to transform your retirement from a time of penny-pinching anxiety into a period of well-deserved comfort and dignity. Let's rewind a bit to understand the gravity of this moment. For decades, Canada's seniors have been caught in what economists grimly call the fixed income trap. It's a deceptively simple term that masks a world of financial anguish. Here's how it works. After a lifetime of labor, you retire with what seems like a decent nest egg. You got your company pension, your personal savings, maybe some investments. Each month, these sources provide you with a steady income, say $2,500. It feels secure or predictable. After all, that's the promise of a fixed income, right? But here's the trap. While your income stays fixed, the world around you doesn't. Inflation, that silent thief, creeps up year after year. In 2024, a bag of groceries that cost you $50 in 2020 now rings up at $65. Your apartment's rent, once a manageable $1,200, has ballooned to $1,600. Healthcare costs. Don't even ask. That prescription that kept your blood pressure in check used to be $75 a month. Now it's $125. All these costs are dancing upward in a dizzying inflationary waltz, while your fixed income stubbornly refuses to budge. This isn't just hypothetical. It's the lived reality of millions of Canadian seniors. Take Margaret from Vancouver, a retired teacher I interviewed last year. After 35 years nurturing young minds, she retired in 2015 with what she thought was a comfortable pension of $3,000 a month. I did everything right, she told me, her voice a mix of frustration and despair. I saved, I planned, I even downsized to a smaller condo. But now I'm deciding between heating my home properly in winter or getting the dental work I desperately need. Is this what I worked all those years for? Margaret's story is echoed by countless others across our nation. There's Robert in Halifax, a former fisherman whose weathered hands have hauled more cod than he can remember. His industry pension, once sufficient, now barely covers his basic needs. Or consider Aisha in Toronto, who immigrated from India in her 20s and spent 3 decades as a dedicated nurse. Today, her retirement savings are rapidly depleting as she helps support her daughter's family. We're struggling with Toronto's astronomical living costs. But the impact of this OAS increase stretches far beyond individual bank accounts. It promises to be a potent economic stimulus, particularly for the small businesses that form the backbone of many Canadian communities. Why? Because seniors with more disposable income don't stash it under their mattresses. They spend it locally. They become more frequent patrons at the corner bakery, the family-run pharmacy, the neighborhood bookshop. They get their hair done more often, take their cars in for those long-postponed repairs, maybe even treat themselves to dinner out once a week. This spending doesn't just boost these businesses' bottom lines. It preserves jobs and, in many cases, keeps these local institutions from going under. In towns like Stratford, Ontario, or Kamloops, British Columbia, where retirees make up a significant portion of the population. This OAS increase could be the lifeline that keeps Main Street alive. It's a beautiful symbiosis. The community has supported these seniors throughout their lives, and now, in their golden years, they're able to give back, sustaining the very fabric of these towns. Trudeau's announcement also carries profound implications for Canada's healthcare system. It's a little-discussed fact that financial stress is a major driver of health issues among seniors. A 2023 study by the Canadian Medical Association found that seniors experiencing financial insecurity are 60% more likely to report chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, and depression. The link is both psychological and practical. Constant money worries lead to elevated stress hormones, inflammation, and poor sleep, all risk factors for various diseases. Simultaneously, tight budgets mean many seniors cut corners on health, skipping checkups, rationing medications, or opting for cheaper, less nutritious foods. By injecting an extra $3,500 into seniors' annual budgets, this OAS boost has the potential to be a public health intervention in disguise. It gives our elders more resources to invest in their well-being, buying fresher produce, maintaining their medication regimens without rationing, affording transport to medical appointments. Just as crucially, it alleviates some of the financial anxiety that's been silently eroding their health. Gerontologists often speak of compressed morbidity, the goal of keeping people healthier for longer, so that the period of decline at life's end is shorter. This OAS increase, by supporting better health choices and reducing stress, could be a powerful lever in achieving this, potentially saving our healthcare system billions in the long run. Yet, for all its transformative potential, Trudeau's plan isn't without its complexities and critics. As I've traveled across Canada, hosting seniors' money workshops and town halls, I've encountered a spectrum of reactions. Many seniors are overjoyed, seeing this as a long overdue recognition of their worth. Some are cautiously optimistic, waiting to see how this increase translates into real-world impact. Others, particularly those in higher income brackets who may not qualify for the full boost, express frustration, feeling they're being penalized for having saved diligently. One such voice is Harold, a retired accountant I met at a seminar in Edmonton. Impeccably dressed in a tweed jacket, his tone was more weary than angry. "I did everything by the book, Michael," he said. "Worked hard, maxed out my RSP contributions every year, invested wisely. Now I'm drawing a good pension, about $85,000 a year. Comfortable, yes, but not lavish, especially with Edmonton's costs. So why am I being excluded from this OAS boost? Is this punishment for prudence?" Harold's sentiment is echoed in some financial circles and among certain political factions. Their argument is that means testing the OAS increase, giving more to lower-income seniors and less to higher-income ones, discourages personal responsibility. They contend it sends a message that aggressive saving and smart investing aren't rewarded, which could disincentivize such behaviors in younger generations. The counter-argument, one that Trudeau himself articulated in his announcement, is rooted in the principle of equity, the idea that fairness doesn't always mean treating everyone identically, but rather addressing each person's unique needs. A universal increase sounds fair, the Prime Minister stated, but is it? Is it truly equitable to give the same boost to a senior choosing between medicine and meals as we do to one deciding between a second vacation home or a newer luxury car? Our resources are significant, but not infinite. We have a moral duty to direct the most aid to those in the most acute need. This philosophy aligns with what many social policy experts call progressive universality. The concept acknowledges that while certain benefits, like healthcare, should be universal, others are most effectively deployed when tailored to individual circumstances. In this case, while all seniors receive some OAS, those with lower incomes, who are objectively more vulnerable to financial shocks, get a larger increase. There's also a generational equity argument at play. Canada, like many developed nations, is navigating a significant demographic shift. By 2030, nearly 1 in 4 Canadians will be 65 or older. This gray wave presents unique fiscal. Given this squeeze, some argue that affluent seniors should view smaller OAS increases as their contribution to generational solidarity. By accepting a more modest boost, they're effectively saying, "I've achieved financial security. Let more of these resources flow to my struggling peers." It's a call for those who climb the economic ladder to reach back and offer a steadier hand to those still ascending. This debate around OAS means testing mirrors larger discussions about the evolving nature of Canada's social contract. As our population ages and economic pressures mount, how do we balance individual responsibility with collective support? What is the proper interplay between personal savings, employment-based pensions, and government programs? There are no easy answers, but Trudeau's OAS reform at least pushes us to confront these questions head-on. Moving beyond the philosophical debates, there are practical questions about who exactly qualifies for this enhanced OAS. Eligibility isn't universal. It hinges on several key criteria. Age: you must be 65 years or older. This might seem obvious, but it's worth noting that unlike some benefits like CPP, which can be taken early at a reduced rate, OAS has a firm age threshold. Legal status: you need to be a legal resident of Canada. This includes citizens, permanent residents, and some temporary residents with special permissions. Residency history: here's a critical point. You must have lived in Canada for at least 10 years since turning 18. For maximum benefits, that residency requirement jumps to 40 years. If you've lived in Canada for less time, you might still qualify, but your payment could be prorated. Income level: as we've discussed, the full $3,500 increase is targeted at lower and middle-income seniors. If your annual income exceeds certain thresholds, approximately $79,000 as of 2024, you'll see a gradually smaller increase. Above about $129,000, the increase phases out entirely. It's this last criterion, income level, that adds layers of complexity. Your income for OAS purposes isn't just your work pension or RRIF withdrawals. It encompasses nearly all money coming in: CPP payments, rental income, dividends, even some tax-free savings account earnings. Navigating this can be tricky, which is why on my website, seniorsmoneycanada.com, I partnered with certified financial planners to offer a free OAS Boost calculator. Just input your various income streams, and it estimates your personalized increase. A question that's flooded my inbox since Trudeau's announcement: Michael, do I need to apply for this OAS Boost? The good news is, for most of you, the answer is no. If you're already receiving OAS payments, this increase will be automatically added to your monthly benefit. Service Canada will calculate your eligible amount based on the tax information and residency data